Islam is evil. Muslims, well, they're the problem, aren't they? Sadly, there are many, many people that believe this. And if you are one of those people, I'm going to invite you to watch and listen to this video. For it is a story that is true. It is a story that if you live outside the Muslim world, I'm pretty certain that you have never heard of. It is a story that has been buried deep in history, perhaps intentionally. For this story, we have to go back to the 7th century, in the early period of Islam, in which we are going to learn how the blessed city of Jerusalem first came under Muslim rule. And I can promise you, it's pretty amazing. At the beginning of the 7th century, between the years 602 and 628 AD, the world's two superpowers, the Byzantines and Persian Sassanids, were locked in a brutal war. In the year 614 AD, the Persians entered Jerusalem and ended 677 years of Roman rule upon Jerusalem, and then descended hell upon the city, massacring Christians in their tens of thousands, looting and destroying churches, and most painful of all to the Christian world, stealing the true cross, believed by Christians to be the cross Christ was crucified upon, taking it to the Sassanid capital as a symbol of their victory. "15 years later, in 629 AD, the Byzantine Emperor Heraclius had wrestled Jerusalem back under Byzantine control and had reclaimed the true cross. But in this war between the Byzantines and Persians, truly there were no victors. Both empires were crippled and weakened. But unbeknownst to these two colossal empires, whilst they were busy destroying one another, to their south, a weighty message was being delivered in the Arabian Peninsula. In the year 610 AD in Mecca, the prophethood of Muhammad ibn Abdullah had commenced. A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم. Over a period of 23 years, the Archangel Gabriel delivered the direct speech of God to Muhammad. The Quran, meaning the recitation, that called humanity back to its primordial path, the path all the prophets of old had called their people to, pure monotheism, submission to God. By the time of the prophet's death, in the year 632 AD, a spiritual, religious, cultural and political tidal wave had transformed the Arabian Peninsula, uniting it under the first Islamic state. After the death of the Prophet, leadership of the Muslim community, known as the Ummah, was passed on to successors. These successors were known as the Caliph. By the year 636 AD, just 4 years after the death of the Prophet, the newly born Islamic State had expanded at a blistering pace, conquering Iraq, Syria and the Levant, absorbing the territories of the once mighty Byzantine and Persian empires. That same year, knowing what was coming, the Patriarch of Jerusalem, Archbishop Sophonius, was deeply worried that the Christian community of Jerusalem and their sacred sites, may suffer the same fate as they did at the hands of the Persians, and secretly sent the true cross to Constantinople. In the year 637 AD, the Caliph of the Islamic State was the fierce, loyal companion of the Prophet, Umar ibn al-Khattab, whose Muslim army had encircled Jerusalem, laying siege to it for 4 months. Despite keeping a brave defense of the city, Sophonius knew that the situation was unwinnable and would negotiate the surrender of Jerusalem with the Muslim commanders laying siege to it. Sophonius would agree to surrender the city on the assurance that his Christian community would be protected, and one more condition: that if the Caliph wanted the city, he must come and take it himself. So the Caliph obliged, and would do so in a manner that would immortalize this story. Wearing a simple white garment that had been mended and patched multiple times, the Caliph embarked on the 2-week journey, not with an army, nor with pomp or ceremony, just himself, a servant, and a camel, that the 2 men would take equal turns in riding. When the Caliph reached the Muslim military base in northern Syria, in the town of Al-Jabiyah, he met with the senior Muslim commanders, including the Honourable Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, who looked upon his Caliph dressed in such desperately humble clothing. Concerned that the people of Jerusalem would not take the Caliph seriously, Abu Ubaidah suggested that perhaps the Caliph wear something more suitable for such a momentous occasion. The Caliph responded, "Verily, we were a disgraceful people, and Allah honoured us with Islam. If we seek honour from anything besides that with which Allah has honoured us, Allah will disgrace us." From Al-Jabiyah, the Caliph, now joined by his senior commanders, continued his journey to Jerusalem. On the day Jerusalem was expecting the arrival of the Caliph, thousands of people came out and lined the city's streets, anticipating the visitation of the world's most powerful man. And then he came, pulling his camel, in patched clothing, now muddied as a result of his long and arduous journey. It is said, and documented by multiple sources, that when Jerusalem beheld the Caliph, they were in awe of what they were seeing. The most powerful man on earth had arrived, resembling a Bedouin, not a world leader. Who was this man? A powerful message was being sent. Power is not a key to the adornments and luxuries of this world, but a burden entrusted by God. When Sophonius and the Caliph met, the Archbishop, like all of Jerusalem, was paused in disbelief as he gazed upon a man who was to be the protector of his flock. Sophonius handed the keys of Jerusalem over to the Caliph and signed a pact known as Umar's Assurance that guaranteed the safety of Christian lives, their churches, their crosses, in return for the payment of the jizya, a tax applied to non-Muslims that was less than the zakat, the obligatory payment upon Muslims. After the pact was signed, Sophonius walked with the Caliph to the holiest site in Christendom, the site in which Christians believe Christ was crucified, buried, and arose from the dead, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Sophonius handed over the keys of the church to the Caliph, after which the 2 men went inside. But whilst in the church, the Muslim call to prayer was sounded.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha.
Sophonius, who by now had learned of the striking similarities between these two faiths, made the most heartwarming of suggestions. That the two men pray together, side by side, in the church of the Holy Sepulchre. "No," said the Caliph, stunning Sophonius. The Caliph, with the enormity of his foresight, knew that if he were to pray in the church, his Muslim descendants would claim ownership over it. The Caliph did not want this. He wanted the church of the Holy Sepulchre to always be for Christians. And so the Caliph agreed to pray with the Archbishop 100 feet opposite the church of the Holy Sepulchre. After the two men had finished praying, the Caliph requested of the Archbishop to take him to the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount holds great significance for Muslims and Jews. It is at this location that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, led all the prophets in prayer before ascending to each of the levels of heaven until he spoke with God directly. For Jews, it is the site of the foundation stone, the location in which Jews believe the creation of the world began, and the two Jewish temples. In the year 70 AD, the second Jewish temple was destroyed by the Romans, who for the last 500 years transformed this blessed site into a wasteland. When the Caliph beheld the Temple Mount, he not only discovered the desecration of this sacred site by the Romans, but shockingly also learned that Jews had been prohibited from living and worshipping in Jerusalem for the last 500 years, since their expulsion by Emperor Hadrian in 135 AD. So, the Caliph instructed that the Temple Mount be cleared, and after half a millennium, Jerusalem would once again be a home for the Jews, as he invited Jewish families to relocate to the city, ending the 500-year wilderness of Jews in Jerusalem.